All right, so again, we're working on that warm up. When we are doing these problems, you want to keep in mind the order of operations, which are please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So you're doing parentheses and exponents, then multiplying and dividing, then adding and subtracting. And when we do our order of operations, we need to read the problem left to right when we're looking at addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division. Everybody's still working on the top ones? Okay. So number one, first thing you're going to do is multiply 8 times 3 to give you 24. 2 times 4 to give you 8. 24 minus 8 is 16. Okay, number two, order of operations, say you divide to start. So 8 minus 4 plus 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Then you work left to right. So 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Number 3, we have to multiply and divide left to right. So it's 24 divided by 12, which is 2. Then 2 times 4, which is 8. Then 8 divided by 3, which you want to leave as 8/3. Do not turn that into the repeating decimal 2.66, because if you have to substitute or plug it in somewhere else, that's an irrational number, and you can't write it as a decimal. So it's a repeating decimal that cannot be written as a repeating decimal, so you want to leave it as a fraction. Number 4, first you need to get rid of your exponent. So you get 3 times 64 plus 12 divided by 4. Then we're going to do division. So you have 3. Sorry, I thought I wrote a minus. It's 3 times 64. So you're going to multiply those together first because it comes first. So you get 192 plus 12 divided by 4, which is 3. Add them together, and you get 195. And number 5, we're going to get rid of the exponent to start. So you have 27 plus 18 divided by 9 minus 9 plus 1. Then you're going to divide those middle two terms. So you get 27 plus 2 minus 9 plus 1. And then you're just going to add and subtract left to right. So 27 plus 2 is 29. 29 minus 9 is 20. 20 plus 1 is 21. We're going to work inside our parentheses to start. So 40 plus 24 is 64 divided by 8 minus, clean up the inside of those parentheses, 2 cubed is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9 minus 1. Now division and multiplication, so you get 8 minus 9 minus 1. So 8 minus 9 is -1. -1 minus 1 is -2. Good? So we have 3 new vocab words we're going to focus on today. That's variable, algebraic expression, and evaluate. A variable is a symbol, usually a letter, that represents one or more numbers. A symbol, usually a letter, that represents one or more numbers. In the example, 3x plus 1, x is your variable. An algebraic expression is an expression that contains one or more variables. So 3x plus 1 is considered an algebraic expression because you have a variable and something being added to it. Evaluating is when we're going to substitute numbers in for our variables and solve following the order of operations. So if you see the words evaluate, think substitute, and simplify. Okay? Okay. No problem. Okay, very good. So what we want to do is substitute in to simplify. So we're going to look at number 1, which says evaluate K. better. Evaluate k for the given equation when k is equal to 6. So what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the number 6 everywhere you have a k. So we get 6 minus 18 squared minus 4 times 6. And then you simply follow your order of operations. So 6 minus 18 gives you a negative 12 squared minus 4 times 6, which is negative 24. 12 squared is 144. Remember, anytime a negative number is squared, it's positive. So you get 144 minus 24, which is 120. Sliding over to number 2. Now we're evaluating for 2 variables. We have x being 6, and we have y being 5. X is negative 2, sorry. And y is 5. So everywhere you have a y, you put a 5. And everywhere you have an x, you put a negative 2. So that gives 7 times negative 2 minus 3 times negative 2 times 5. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. A negative times a negative gives a positive 6. Positive 6 times 5 gives a positive 30. So negative 14 plus 30 is 16. Get into a habit of boxing in your numbers. It'll make checking your work easier on you and on me. Yeah. So the 3 is negative and the 2 is negative. So a negative times a negative gives a positive 6. Good question. You're okay. All right, in the next one, we're evaluating the expression for x equals 4 and y equals negative 2. So go ahead and plug those in. So in number 3, we have x plus y divided by x. So that gives 4 plus negative 2 divided by 4. So you have to divide first, so you get 4 minus a half. 4 minus a half is 3.5, or 3 1/2. Number 4, you have 3 times 4 minus 4 times negative 2 plus 4 minus, and here you have to be careful again, it's minus a minus. So a minus turns to a positive. And a negative times a negative turns to a positive. So you multiply 3 times 4 to get 12. You multiply negative 4 times negative 2 to get positive 8. And then you're going to multiply your plus, or just not multiply, add your 4 and add your 2. 12 plus 8 is 20. 20 plus 4 is 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. And then we look at number 5. And number 5 says x, so 4 plus 2x, so 2 times 4, divided by y, which is negative 2, minus 2 times y, so 2 times negative 2. So you have 4 plus 8 divided by negative 2 minus, a minus becomes a positive 4. You need to divide in the middle, so you get 4 minus 4, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative, plus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, plus 4 is 4. So again, they're getting trickier. You have to watch your signs. And again, you have a calculator that you can use. Just know that these are getting very, very close to SAT prep questions, and these would be non-calculator SAT questions. So you want to try not to rely on the calculator so much, especially if you're considering taking the SAT in the next couple of weeks. All right, number 6, we have C being negative 3 and D being 5. Remember that when you plug into something squared, especially on the calculator, you need to wrap it in parentheses. So you get negative 3 squared minus 5 squared. A negative times a negative is a positive 9 minus 25. Nine minus 25 is negative 16. Okay, number 7. You have C, so you have negative 3. Times 3 minus D, which is 5, minus negative 3 squared. Here's where you have to be really careful about order of operations. This minus a minus right here does not become a positive because order of operations say you have to square negative 3 before you subtract or multiply. So this becomes negative 3. 3 minus 5 is in parentheses, so we can simplify that to negative 2. Minus, we're going to square negative 3 to get a positive 9. But that negative is still here out in front. A negative times a negative is a positive 6. Take away 9. You get negative 3. Number 8, you have negative 5 squared minus 4. 5 minus 2 times negative 3. The negative's in front of my square, so it stays. Now you clean up your parentheses. So you have minus 4, 5 minus a minus times 3, so you get a positive 6. So you have negative 25 minus 4 times 11. So you get negative 25 minus 44, or a negative 69. Okay, and then for the next two examples, we're looking at word problems. So we want to talk about what's happening in that expression. So it says that you have negative 0.08y squared plus 3y, modeling the percent increase of voters in a town from 1990 to 2000. If 1990 represents the number of years since 1990, 1990 represents y equals 0. And that's important to know because you're not plugging 1990 into the equation. You'd be plugging in 0. Or since we're looking at 1998, we're not plugging 1998 into the equation. We're plugging in y equals 8 because 8 represents the number of years since 1990. So we get negative 0.08 times 8 squared plus 3 times 8. So you go to your calculators, type in negative 0.08 times 8 squared, and you get negative 5.12 plus 24, and you get 18.88. So the percent increase is 18.88. Similarly to number 10, y equals 0 is in 1960. So that would mean y equals 40 is in 2000. So y equals 52 would be 2012. And y equals 60 would be 2020. So we're looking for 2012 and 2020 rather, which is year 60 and 52. So you're going to plug in 52 and 60 and compare your answers. So we get 43% for year 2020. And you get 45.4% for 2012. So does that number imply that it is an increase or decrease in eligible voters that will vote? It implies a decrease, right? 45 to 43 means you went down. in just 2 short months, we'll know what this actually is. Okay, so your homework is the very next page in that packet. So it's 11 to 25 all. So your homework is the very next page. You don't have to go to the textbook anymore. These are textbook problems. However, instead of making you get out a book every time, I gave you the problems on the next page in your notes packet. So that means on Thursday, we're going to do the next page in this packet. You'll be responsible for watching the video, copying down the